down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
How you do, Savvy investors? You just entered the Savvy Radio Show. My name is Steven Van Kallenberg, and I am the Savvy Landlord. I've written a few books, and today I'm going to break it down why 25 reasons why you are always poor. Now, if you've been listening to my show for a while, you're like, dude, that don't sound positive. That's exactly right. Some people are motivated in different ways. And so I came across this article, blog, I don't know. I was doing some research on the internizzle, and I came across, it was from MSN.com, and it was 23 reasons why you will always be poor. And I was like, that it caught my attention. And that's my goal here, is to catch your attention, to realize, to reflect, where are you at in life and where you want to go. And here's some things that I'm going to cover, 25 of them that make you poor. And if it strikes a chord or you're offended, that's a good thing. Maybe you would wake up and go after it. Get off that couch, stay away from that TV, pick up a book. And that is the reason why I chose today's episode. Number one, you're stuck in a debt trap. Basically, it's just a vicious cycle. Think of a ham, whatever the freak that little rodent is, in a circle, and you're running around over and over again. That's why you've got to figure out a way, the side hustle, if you listen to these recent Mondays, but you are in a debt trap. That's why you are poor. You've got to figure a way to cut your expenses and break it down. Number two, you're oblivious to your big debts, meaning you just put your head in the sand and don't know what's going on, and you got this massive debt like your student loan, and you don't have a plan. You're ignoring your responsibilities. That's why you're poor. Number three, you feel powerless, like there's no way to get out under the rock that you're under. That is not true. Yes, if you think that way, that you're powerless, yes, you always will be poor. But you have to step up, get a partner, listen to other podcasts, and be motivated to go out there and create wealth for yourself, and that you should be empowered, not powerless. And that's what this radio episode and my whole mantra as savvy investors is about. Number four, you haven't learned about personal finance. Man, this is murder. First of all, I know they don't teach you anything in school, because I was just like you. I barely made it through. I was just more about athletics and hanging out and being cool than I was about education. Until later in life, I realized things are not going the way I want them to go, and I'm broke all the time, and I can contribute that to being uneducated, and that's what you have to know about personal finance. Go to your library. It's free. You can get a library card. Only 3% of America has one. Go read about personal finance. Basic stuff. I know they don't teach it, but now you heard about it, so there's no excuse about it. Number five, you don't pay yourself first. You pay everyone else first, and then at the end you get the scrub, to get the crumbs, as I would say. Don't be a scrub. Get the crumbs on the front end. You've got to make enough money. I teach my children to live on 70%. 10% goes to God, 10% goes to savings, 10% goes to investing. If you can live on 70%, man, you're living large, okay? Most people live on 110%. So the only way that you can, not only way, but to increase your net worth, to increase your wealth, you got to pay yourself first. You got to make yourself a priority. So if you make $1,000 this month, $2,000, $10,000, whatever the number is, I'm going to pull back this much money. But you say, Steven, I can't do it. I got to pay these bills. Well, then you got to figure out another way to make extra money to pay for those bills. But whatever you do, you've got to pay yourself. It's not how much you make. It's what you do with what you make. There's people that are paycheck to paycheck that are worth millions of dollars. They're not paying themselves first. They're paying for their toys. They're paying for their house. They're paying for things that they don't necessarily need. You got to pay yourself first. When you pay yourself first, you're buying with that money that you're going to be paying and buying assets, buying assets that make you money. Number 6, you put today's happiness before your future financial needs. Basically, you're all about instant gratification. You got to have discipline. If you want to be wealthy, if you want to be rich, whatever you want to call it, you got to have discipline. And the things that you want now, you got to save them for later. Does that make sense? And I know that you may have been grown up, you may have grown up broke, and like I was, I had no example. We just didn't have any money. My mom wasn't running around buying the brand new Audi or whatever, or buying, $80 video games. But the point is, you ask yourself, do I need this right now? And I always ask, for any purchase that I make, I think to myself, can I sell it? What could I sell it for? And is this going to help me? Is this going to increase me? Is this going to make me a better person? All right. And then if I have to dump it, what could I sell it for? And could I make money on it? Number 7, you lack an emergency fund. Man, I remember 10 years ago probably, I read Financial Peace from Dave Ramsey. Yeah, you guys know about him. Yes, he's a legit guy. Yes, he says some funky stuff and, be debt free, which I kind of rumble with that. But one of the messages that I got out of the book, that actually I read the book and it helped me get out of $30,000 worth of debt. It's a long story. Maybe I'll cover that on another episode. But the one thing I did learn that got me out of the rat race was an emergency fund. And people they use their credit cards as their emergency fund. No, you got to put $1,000. Start with a small number, like $1,000. And that may seem like a large number to you. And I agree. At one time, to me, it was a large number. It's still a large number. But whatever you do, before you go to McDonald's today, that $7 you're going to spend at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, $10 at Chick-fil-A, or whatever you're going to go, say, hey, Savvy said, we got to put this in an emergency fund. Skippy, put it, you need to have $1,000. I remember my very first $1,000 that I finally saved because, I was like, car would break down. It was this vicious cycle. Then I'd charge it on my credit card. And then sure enough, as soon as I pay off my $300 tire, something else would go wrong. The alternator would go wrong. And I did not have an emergency fund. As soon as I got an emergency fund, my life started getting better. And I really didn't understand it until I read about it. But I'm here to tell you, you need to go do it. And I remember my first $1,000 in an emergency fund that I put in a safety deposit box so I wouldn't touch it. Don't try to stick it in your sock drawer. Don't try to put it in your bank account. Really get $1,000, sell something, and it gives you a peace of mind and a quality of life knowing that you have an emergency fund. And if you're in real estate, you might want to get 3 months or 6 months of mortgage payments. But you've probably heard that on another episode before. But number 7, get an emergency fund. Number 8, you're not making savings a priority. Kind of the same thing as an emergency fund. A lot of people live like, you're 22, 30, and all of a sudden, you're 60 and you don't have a savings. Now, and this is based on this article. Now, I'm not a big fan of savings because every dollar that I make, I try to turn it around, make it velocity, and try to make more money on it. If I make $100 today, I'm going to try to figure out how can I buy something and sell it for $110. But you do need to have some sort of savings. I do have emergency funds, a couple of them, and some of them are even for legality purposes. But you're not making a savings a priority. You got to make savings. Like I said earlier, if you want to be a rock star, live on 70%. Actually, live on 60 if you want to be super duper. But again, 70%, 10% goes to God, 10% goes to savings, 10% goes to investing. If you start that way now, as soon as possible, if you make $100, put 70, live on your $70 and figure out what you can do with the other 30%. All right. Number 9, you don't course correct your finances. Things happen. Bombs blow up in your face and you don't have a plan in place. So, years ago when I was an entrepreneur, still am, and I was I don't know if I don't know if you know me, but I was doing a lot of hustling, a lot of concert promotion, and I rented out this skate rink back in college, and I was going to try to do an event, basically was a dance party, and I rented out this venue. I remember back in the day, it was only $200 to rent it out on a Friday night, and I was like, man, I only need 10, 20 people at $5 a piece to break even. But the thing that I remembered is I was like, do I know 10 friends that I can borrow $20 from? And and things adjust. Like there was expenses that popped up, and I had to make course correction. My windfall of making tons of money that day, which didn't happen, I was nimble, and I figured out a way to cut my expenses. So number 9, you've got to, a lot of staying poor, you don't do course correction on your finances. You've got to be nimble, and this is not working. I got to cut this off. This is not, you got to shift, you got to bob and weave and go to the next thing. A lot of detailed people that like to just follow one plan, but that one plan may not get you to where you want to go. Number 10, you're spending too much money on housing. So true. I heard this the other day from a friend of mine that they were doing well. They were actually wholesaling, flipping some cribs, and they were single, and they wanted to step up and go to a nicer apartment instead of being content at $700 a month, which I know some people in California are like, what the $700 you can live? Yes, you can live off of $700 a month. But this young cat, he's paying $1,200 a month and living downtown. Hey, too much housing. You're spending too much, and you're just throwing that money away. Be creative. Get a roommate. If you can afford $1,200 for an apartment, you should go out and buy a crib, a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom pimp palace, and rent that out to your homies, and then make money and live for free. So number 10, if you want to be poor, spend too much money on your house. Buy a $400,000 house when you can only afford a $200,000 house. You know what I'm talking about. Do it. Number 11, if you want to stay poor, you don't have a money plan. This is just life in general. You don't have a plan, you're not successful. You got to, how much you're going to make, where you're going to go, what are you going to do with the money, how are you going to make the money. You got to have a plan for what you're going to do. My simple is easy, how I got this far plan with no systems in place, with no ideas. I just said, hey, I need to buy assets. Okay, that's a plan. How can I buy assets? Well, back then, real estate investors, and they are today, selling houses on owner finance, okay, and they want $2,000 down. Today, investors want $5,000, but you can find some investors that will put $2,000 down and you can acquire an asset. So I was like, okay, I want to buy houses. I got to figure it out. I DJ and I pay myself $100 a gig. So I just have to get 20 gigs. That's $2,000, and I go buy a rent house. And that's how simple. That was my money plan back in the day. Now a lot of mistakes were made because I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't have a savings account. I just bought assets and didn't realize that things break, like water heaters are not in properties. But still, I had somewhat of a plan. A lot of people just drift through life. They go get a job that just covers their expenses, and they're just comfortable. Stop being comfortable. Create a plan, put this on pause, pull over, grab it, go to freaking CVS, go get a spiral notebook and write on there, money plan. What is your money plan? How much money do you want to retire? How hard is it? How long is it going to take to get to that number? What is that number? What are you going to do with that $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month? What can you live on? Do you even know what your budget is today? I know budget's like a mother effing curse word. I get it. I try not to budget. I have gauges and guides, but still, you gotta have a plan. Number 12. Oh, I gotta pause. I'm about to sneeze. Number 12. You don't know where your money is going. Hey, welcome to the club, my fellow investor wannabe or whatever. Man, back in the day when I got into personal development, personal finance, I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to be rich. I was tired of being broke. And one of the things I read in a book is write down where all your money is going. And it's fascinating where your money is going. Oh, I'm kind of hungry. Let me go get a candy bar. well, $1. When you add all that deal up, it's expensive, and it's money that's not making you money. So what I encourage you to do is go out there and write out where your money is going. Here's another thing that I learned from an amazing professor, Joe Ramsey, OCC adjunct professor at Oklahoma City Community College. I don't know if you're listening to this, but you did impact my life. And he said, write down all the found money. I'm like, found money? I'm like, there is no found money. Sure enough, when I was subconsciously documenting what I spent, don't spend as much. But he reversed it and said, document all the free money that you find. For example, you walk, and he had it in an envelope or put it in a brown bag. You're walking down the road and boom, you found $1. You write that down. Found money. Usually when you get free money somehow, like for example, I was on a property the other day and this lady wanted to get rid of a couch, and I was like, hey, I'll take that couch. I turned around and sold it to somebody else for $25. That's found money. What happens is people make money. They don't know what they do with what they make. Okay. So document subconsciously today, this week, grab an envelope and put it on your desk and say, put found money. And when you get free money from somewhere and that you weren't accounting for that money, it wasn't your paycheck, you'd be surprised how much money you're throwing away. And then you take that money and make more money with it. All right. You got that? So where am I at? Number 13. All right. Ooh, this is another. Ooh, I like this one too. You don't separate your wants from your needs. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I said, I think about every purchase I make, like my vehicle, my phone, you name it. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Can I sell this? If I do take a loss on this, what is that number? And I ask myself, do I really need this? Is this increasing me? Can I make money off this? Is this going to make me a better person? And, yes, your need is toilet paper. You can't cut out toilet paper. Yeah, I guess you could, but still separate, and I struggled with this at a younger age, and I really don't struggle with it now, but and you got to change your mindset. What's your needs and what's your wants and what do you really need? So ask yourself. All right. So number 14th, was interesting, on the MSN article. It said no degrees or training. And that's why you're poor. I was like, all right, let's soften that up a little bit. First of all, you don't have to have a degree to make money. And just so you know, if this is your first episode, you're probably never going to come back to the Savvy Show. But it's all good. Here's the deal. I got no degree, but what I do have is skills. Skills. You can't lay on the couch and play video games. Yes, you could get paid to play video games. It's possible. To make real money, you got to have some skills. You got to have negotiating skills. You got to have skills on how to borrow money. You got to have skills to ask people to give you money. You got to have skills to look for property. That's the deal. Work on your skills. Work on yourself. You're going to stay broke, poor, going nowhere if you don't educate and train yourself. And it may not be in the normal society of going and getting 10 degrees and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. All right. Number 15, you're investing in stuff instead of yourself. Yes. Stop buying shit. Oh, my bad. I said that loud. Man, I'm struggling here. Stop buying stuff. Short-term thinking, long-term thinking. I've already beat you up on that. Number 15, if you want to be broke, just buy stuff for yourself, and that's all you need to do. Number 16. Now, this is an interesting one. It says, what MSN says, it says, you're trying to get rich quick. Now, I remember back in the day, get rich quick, and I'm reading an amazing book right now called 12 Pillars Pillars of Wealth. I'm going to cover that book pretty soon because it's off the chain. Thank you, Sean McVicker, for turning me on that book. But, I agree, get rich quick is a taboo, but you really want to get rich quick as fast as you can. But you got to do it in the right way. Don't try to get rich quick by buying something online, somebody's course, and, real estate guru, and you're going to be $10 million tomorrow, buy my $10,000 course. It doesn't work like that. It's down and dirty. It's slow, and it's a process. But you do need to accelerate that. You need to get rich quick as fast as you can because you want to enjoy life. So you get rich quick, meaning there's not a silver bullet. You can't take a pill. You got to get out there and grind hard. Number 17, you don't stick to a budget. I struggle with this. I hate the word budget. Is it a effing 5-letter word? It should be a 4-letter word. F that. Another. I don't like budgets. But I realize I got a detail person in my world that helps me run my company, and she's slapping me around with budgets all the time. You know, she's like, well, how much you think you're gonna spend on this house? Well, I was like, well, it needs a new roof. It needs that. I'm like, okay, 15,000. I come back, I spend $22,000, $5,000 over budget. I'm like, what an idiot. Now, I'm still into the crib at a good price, but you need to have a guide. You need to have a budget. You're broke is because you don't stick to the budget. I'm telling you, play it like a game. Can I get this done under budget? Number 18, you're always one step behind on your bank account. True that. I don't know how many people bounce checks, pay criminal banking fees because they didn't pay attention to their bank account. This used to be me. I used to be like 2 days late on my bank account back when I was in severe debt, and they would hit me with a $25 fee. $25 times 12 is what? $300 a year, wasted money. So some white collar guy can go golfing another round. Get on top of your bank account funding. All right. Get on top of it. You want to stay broke? Don't be oblivious to what's really going on. 19, I'm going to speed this up because we're already at the 21-minute mark. You buy depreciating assets, also known as doodads. Thank you, Rich Dad Robert Kiyosaki. Buy stuff that makes money. So, for example, I'm all into RC cars right now. I know it's ghetto weird. I used to make fun of these type of people. It's just amazing when you become educated. But RC cars, people look at them, man, they're expensive. A couple $100 to drive around a little toy. Shouldn't be out working. But here's my thing. This is a depreciating asset, right? If I go and buy this item brand new right off the shelf and I try to turn around and sell it, it's a depreciating asset, just like a vehicle. So what I do is I get on Craigslist. I find some other joker that bought an RC car and they're tired of it and they want to sell it and they're trying to sell it for half price. And then I beat them up and I get it for 25. And then I turn around, play with it, get done with it, whatever, and I sell it for a profit. Think about that. If you want to buy a doodad, that's cool. Figure out how to buy that doodad debt free and buy that doodad that you can turn around and sell or break even. I love taking my children to the flea market for so many reasons. One, delayed gratification. They got to make it through the whole freaking flea market without buying something or try to. Plus, they get to stretch their dollar. And then when they go buy this toy that in a couple months, they don't really give a rip about, they throw it in a box and say, hey, and we're dumping it at the garage sale. I have half of what it's in. So you buy this little toy that someone else bought. So think about depreciating assets. Everything is depreciating in some form or fashion. I love it when we sell toys back to garage sales or flea market, or we give it away. We're getting a return on our investment. Usually, whatever I buy it for, I get my money back. Oof, I love that. I get my money back. All right, we're going to get down and dirty. Number 20, you're unwilling to sacrifice. That's the deal. You want to be poor? Just be lazy. You want to be wealthy, do the dream, travel, whatever you want to do. You got to be willing to sacrifice. Yes, do not buy that RC car today for something for tomorrow, okay? People are not willing to sacrifice. I love this quote from Jim Rohn. Do the things other people don't want to do and you'll be successful. I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. and come onto the radio show and record it. No, I want to sleep in. No, the sacrifices that you have to make will yield you the returns. So that's the thing. Want to be broke, stay unwilling to sacrifice. 21, you're trying to have it all. Man, I struggle with this. This is, I think, a common thing for the young generation that's up and coming. We try to do this. We try to commit to that. We try to go out. We try to exercise. We try to date, trying to have it all, trying to buy stuff. You can't. You got to pace yourself. If you want to have it all, you're racking up your credit card, it's over with. Number 22, you're paying too much for your iPhone. All right. I mean, cell phone. I mean, iPhone. I mean, these criminal, cell phone company contracts lock people up for I saw a phone the other day for $800. It's only $35 a month until you die. All right. Really, you want to be broke? Keep getting a new cell phone every other day, or think that you can trade it in. I got stung on that deal, and I'm going to actually cover an episode coming up on, or I already did soon. It's on my heart, on my list. But listen, you need to read the contracts. You need to know what's up. Try to buy a used phone. I love eBay. You can buy a used phone that's unlocked, and if it breaks, the whole thing of the $10 a month for insurance actually is $13, but then they don't tell you about there's a $150 deductible. It's just madness, all right? You really don't need that blinged out iPhone 15. Do you really? Just do the job and get it done. Number 23, you spend more money than you make. Pretty effing obvious. This is what this is all about. You want to be broke, always be chasing your tail, spend what you don't make. You gotta find discipline and sacrifice for yourself, and put on, visual aid. I want to be wealthy. I want to be the person that doesn't have their hand out. I don't want to be a taker. I want to be a giver. And only way you can give is if you don't spend everything that you have. I don't want, that's the thing. That's why I do this. I want to be a giver. I don't want to be a taker. I don't want to be 60 years old trying to rely on a broken system to pay for my food. I want to be able to go to a retirement community and bless somebody. I have the time. I don't have to worry and work 3 jobs and be a Walmart greeter. Stop spending too much than you make. Society, America. I know it's not easy. Try it. 24. You don't read enough. Thank God there's this thing called podcasts. Thank you, Apple, iTunes, for breaking the mold on stuff like this, releasing, audio and encouragement. There's so many good podcasts out there. But listen, sit down and read. We don't read enough. It's just sad. This is 24. The more you read, the more you make. It's that simple. I would not be where I am if I didn't read. I was reading this morning. I'm researching, growing. Go freaking read a book. I don't got no money, Stephen. We then go to Barnes & Noble and jam up their AC and lay on the ground. I remember years ago when I got into personal development, that's all I did. I was like, my favorite joint was Barnes & Noble. I mean, they knew me by name. I just sat there and read books. Go to the library. Go read. Try 10 minutes a day. 25. The final. This is it. I'm done. This has been a long podcast. I know you millennials, you're kind of going crazy. This guy's kind of wild. He's kind of, whatever. Here's the deal. Number 25. Personal development is a foreign language to you. Here's the deal. You only got one shot at this deal. Make it the very best. Invest in yourself. Learn the word personal development. Google that deal up. Follow Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. Incredible motivator. You can't go wrong with Tony Robbins. Unwaking the Giant. Go read his books. Work on yourself. Grow yourself. Work on personal development. Anyway, hopefully that you were encouraged. This was a long, intense 25 reasons why you will always be poor. Let's smash those mothers down. Go do it. Go be big. Live your dreams. Do it one time. Do it to the grandest, to the biggest. And whatever you do during all this process, you go give somebody something. Pass it on forward. Go buy an asset that generates income, and some piece of that income, you go bless somebody else. Go give somebody a book. Encourage somebody. Whatever you do, go buy assets. My name is Steve Van Kallenberg. If you want other episodes, if someone turned you on to this, go to thesavvyradioshow.com.
Thanks for listening to The Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.